July 1st, 1903, the first Tour de France bicycle race begins. The list of banned substances includes steroids and the Irish. Welcome to The Revisionists. I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zach Powers.
And we have a great show for you today. We have one of our favorites on the show, regular down at Comedy Works. Please welcome Zac Maas.
Hey, everybody.
Yep. If Zac Maas had a chyron on the news, it would say local favorite.
Yeah.
Zac Maas.
Oh, that's so sweet of you guys.
Yeah.
It was a real confusing warm-up there.
Nope. Yeah.
Hey,
Not much of a warm-up.
Yeah. No, we just kind of got going.
So,
hey, guys.
Are you going to go by another name to not confuse the guests?
Shit.
For this episode, can we just call you Power? Powers?
Sure, my initials spell Zap. Sometimes people actually call me that.
Zap? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to be Zap today, and I'll be Zach, just so that we don't
just
confuse.
for this special. July 29th is hereforth Zap Day, apparently.
Because what I just realized, too, is that you and we have identical voices. We sound...
Really?
Well...
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm joking around.
Good.
Do you guys swear on this podcast? I can't remember.
No. I mean, I guess it depends on what you define as a swear.
Like a
Is
promise?
it make promises?
Yeah,
no, we
like
never promise anything.
Okay.
We don't promise laughter or joy. Sometimes we promise genocide, horrible genocide descriptions.
Horrible genocide descriptions? Well, boy, do I have some of those for you guys today.
Nothing to do with the show. He just has a Twitter feed that's genocide descriptions in 140 characters.
Well, it's actually it's at Genocide Fantasies. No.
So there are fictional genocides that you just want to occur.
Yeah, but
like
there's
fanfic?
also like there's like elves and stuff. You know.
Oh, okay. So like fun, they're like a Game of Thrones kind of genocide.
Yeah, gnomes and
so are the genocides aren't directed at like actual existing groups of people?
I mean, it's fiction.
Great.
No, the only genocide that happens there is the genocide of the English language. So that's not true.
I've got 20 more minutes.
If anybody out there doesn't know me, I want you to know that that's not true.
Okay.
He's very eloquent, very obsessed with grammar. Anyway, if you are new to this show, welcome. And also, the premise of this here show is that each week we discuss a person or event from history. In this case, it is Queen Victoria, I think formerly the longest ruling queen until that old crone Elizabeth stole the title.
Yeah, modern medicine. Go figure. Go figure. That's crazy. The next one's going to live for
that's got to be an asterisk.
Once she dies, whoever's next is going to live to be like 178 because of the new technology that's coming out.
Yeah,
so.
Of course, King Charles bought 3,000.
She reigned for a long time when it was impressive to live past 30. And she was a hemophiliac, so...
Well, we'll get to that in due course, but let me just say that on this show we present a person or event from history. First, we discuss the version of that person's life you will find in your boring, musty old textbooks that Mr. Honeycutt gave you in the 7th grade.
So specific.
But then we present an alternate version that you may not know and may not be true and may be fucking crazy. And at the end of the show, we vote on which is the real history of the world going forward for all time. And last time we discussed George Washington Williams and ultimately came to the conclusion that the alternate history was correct. It was roughly the same as the real history, except there's a magic hat now.
Yeah. It's sort of like a Dumbo's feather type situation.
Yeah, it has George Washington Williams' sort of heroic essence imbued into it and exists somewhere in the world. So there you go.
Was that the last time I was on?
No, that was.
I was like, holy shit!
No, we have
I don't
very few
remember
ideas.
any of that.
We have 3 episodes of this podcast that we keep just recycling them.
Oh man,
I'm gonna edit
Every
that out so
time
we
it's
can say
like-
that.
Well, no, I like that you just
We're
said.
just
Well, you said
we're
the
like-
last show that we did, and we're
Oh,
all here
yeah.
together.
Oh, I see,
know,
I see, I
mean,
see.
Jesus, there's so many Zacs, so many we's.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
it was the royal we, but more royal than the 3 of us.
This episode, Zach, you're doing the Zac Maas. You're doing the true story.
I thought we weren't supposed to tell them.
Well, I'll edit that out then. But in this episode, Zac Maas, you're going
This
first.
always confuses me because you guys say that you're not going to tell them, but then you always tell them.
Yeah.
You told them last time too.
We like to see if our listeners can guess which is the fake story. Usually they figure it out around the time that like a fucking cyborg enters.
Usually, not always.
Well, it depends on how well crafted it is. I don't know. It's all about how subtle can you be. How crazy was their life?
You know what? I kind of think if we had, as a guest on this show, the current president of these United States, 30% of the listeners would believe his version is true, no matter how batshit fucking crazy it was.
Yeah. So I just realized that I'm doing fake news right now.
Yep.
You are.
A little
we
in a
are
way.
culprits. We started the fake news trend.
Holy shit.
When we started this
We
podcast.
did.
It's us.
I'm a part of the fucking
We were-
problem now.
Yeah, we were the
Doing
cause.
fake news.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well,
Well,
so
let's
I
contribute
need
to
to
this.
I need to tell you about Queen Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, Queen Victoria was, like you said earlier, the longest running monarch until the recent current queen or whatever. But
Still current as of this recording.
But she was super young when she became queen. She was 18 years old. She met her.
Which also, for becoming European monarch, not actually that young. Because some of them did it at like 6.
Yeah, but if you're younger than that, don't they have like a regency or
Yeah, that's
something
true.
where
That is
you're
true.
not in power? So she like kind of came to power at like the
Well-
perfect time, right?
In Kentucky, you can become queen at 14, technically.
Well, yeah, prom queen.
Yes, prom queen.
Are you talking like queen of the park?
I don't know.
Oh
I'm
my God.
unfamiliar with that
That's
title.
the
but
most like horrifying way to phrase that.
I don't know. I was curious what he meant. That's not what I meant. But no. So anyway, she was 18. She was super young. She married her husband right away. Back then, Germany and England had some sort of like dual monarchy going on.
Yeah.
So like they were royalty too, but England I think was the top royalty. But there was some weird thing where she couldn't. Only a man could take possession of the German.
Yeah. Like the Hanover.
The House of Hanover.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or Germany. Germany needed to get woke.
Germ-
Hashtag woke.
Yeah, Germany is
A
pretty.
problem that would remain for several decades.
Yeah, Germany was pretty sexist back then. So anyway, she married her cousin. So I mean, very Kentucky, like you were saying earlier. But
Queen
yeah,
of Kentucky.
she married her first cousin. So it wasn't even like a distant cousin.
No.
It was like your brother's, your uncle's kid.
Yeah.
You know? For those of you that don't know what the numbers next to cousins mean.
Yeah.
Pretty close relative.
The closest cousin you could have.
Yeah, like they looked like twins. They looked almost identical. They were both very homely, chubby-faced individuals. But anyway, she loved that dude a lot. She was
Despite his homely, chubby face.
I think that was her wedding vow, wasn't it?
No,
she went up there.
She loved
I
that.
love this dude a lot.
She loved that dude a lot. In fact, I actually have a letter that she wrote about her wedding, and she starts her letter off in all caps. Mm-hmm. So you know that she's fired up. It says, I never spent such an evening. My dearest, dear Albert.
You're reading it like you're angry about it.
His excessive love and affection gave me the feelings of heavenly love and happiness I never could have hoped to have felt before. He clasped me in his arms, and we kissed each other again and again. His beauty, his sweetness, and gentleness. Really, how can I ever be thankful enough to have such a husband, to be called by names of tenderness I have never yet heard used to me before, was bliss beyond belief. This was the happiest day of my life.
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, this is back when love was fucking real. This is back when love was real.
Right. This is before millennials ruined love.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but some other interesting things about her. She ruled over the largest, basically, empire that the world has ever seen. Mm-hmm. The British Empire at that point in time included South Africa, Australia, India, Canada, all kinds of shit. So it was huge.
Other lesser places.
Yeah, it was huge. So she knew a lot of languages. So she was fluent in English, German, I think French, Spanish, and also learned like the Indian language or whatever of India.
Yeah, Hindustani. Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, so she learned Hindustani. So she was smart. She's only 5 feet tall. Which I don't know. And like it's weird because they talk about how fat she got, and how they know that she got fat was because like somebody bought her old panties.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's how they know that.
Like from one of those Japanese vending machine situation type
some
things?
Like
or?
Antique pervert.
Oh my God. I am going to take that Twitter name later tonight.
Some antique pervert bought her panties, and yeah, that's how they knew that she was girthy.
I think the kids today say
so many very precisely chosen words in the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, she had 90 kids. She had 9 kids.
Okay, that's a little more believable.
She had 9 kids. They were some of them were well behaved, I've heard. But she had 9 kids, and she hated them, actually. She didn't hate her kids, but she hated being pregnant.
Yeah.
She said it was the dark side of marriage or some shit. Like, she really didn't like being pregnant. I mean, who would be, you know?
Right.
But yeah, she didn't like being pregnant. She was a hemophiliac, and it's like a weird type of hemophiliac, which is why hemophilia was actually called the royal blood disease or whatever.
Yeah.
But for those of you not familiar with hemophilia, it's how Ryan White got AIDS. In that.
Oh, okay.
No, it's
that's how the Wikipedia page for hemophilia starts.
This article is a stub.
No, so it's a blood disease where your blood doesn't clot. And one of her kids died from that. Like, he just, like, hit his head and bled to death. So, yeah.
I started laughing, and then I started laughing because we were laughing at that.
Well, and, like, think about how crazy it is. Like, if you're not royalty and you have hemophilia, then, like, you're probably dead pretty early on in life. Because, you know, think of all the, like, if almost every time you bleed, it could kill you. Like, I would have, so... I don't know. A bunch of them died, and then somehow they bred it out of the system. Maybe they stopped cousin fucking. I don't know. But it's not in the family lineage line anymore. They bred it out somehow, so I don't know if they.
It's kind of like if I had the vision I have today, anytime before like maybe 1700, I would just have died. It's like from not seeing good enough.
Yeah, and you got to remember the world of like the 1800s is a lot pointier and less baby-proofed than it is today.
Yeah, there's a lot
of
more
ways to
sharp
die.
shit and horse shit in the streets.
Yeah, there's just a lot of shit and piss everywhere, I imagine.
If they had like an America's Funniest Home Videos back then, most of them would have been people slipping in horse shit and then poking themselves on something and bleeding to death.
Yeah.
Which is okay, fine. America's Funniest Home Videos.
Sorry, sometimes the jokes bomb, Brian.
No. Fair.
We just got to power
Fair
through
enough.
that. You got to power through that awkward silence.
Yep. No, I know.
So
If I had had hemophilia after telling that joke, I would have bled to death.
yeah.
There we go.
So, so the funniest thing about her that I found was that she'd been shot at a bunch of times.
Hilarious.
Well, a bunch of people had tried to kill her, and I guess she found people shooting at her to be exciting. Mm-hmm. There's like 6 failed assassination attempts that are official, but there's one guy that they claim tried like 8 times. Mm-hmm. And like what's funny is a lot of times like they didn't have loaded guns or like they had like the only time she was actually hurt by an assassin was the time like an old man hit her in the head with a cane.
Yeah, that which is
but other than that, like she had all these like
assassination attempts.
Yeah, she had all these attacks on her and she was like fine.
Yeah.
So
I like that. I like to think that the guy who tried 8 times, like they knew who he was and were just like, better luck next time, Gary. That's just dumb Gary doesn't know how a gun works.
Well, yeah, and I like that that I think it was politically motivated because afterwards all the assassination attempts made her more popular, and she said that she like enjoyed it. Like she openly said like that she found it exciting and shit. Mm-hmm. But the other thing is weird is that none of them were put to death.
Queen Victoria's most famous quote is, I think, "Come at me, bro," if I'm not mistaken.
But she didn't like none of them were killed. Like all they got was transportation. Which do you know what transportation is?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
All right. Well, what transportation is when they just
how Ryan White got it. Anyway.
Yeah, is when they just send you to like Australia. So like. Not even that bad of a punishment. They just sent you to a colony. So it's like you could go to like Australia or India or America. They stopped sending people that were pissed off at England over to America once the Revolutionary War started.
We sent too many.
Yeah, I think that's what happened with all of them. But
well, and my favorite one of the assassination attempts was the guy who loaded his gun with tobacco. Or something.
Yeah, the gun was like loaded with tobacco and salt or some shit. I don't know. But that guy, they say, tried 8 times.
Oh, that was the same guy. Okay.
That guy who just like used whatever he had around for bullets and
he's like,
gunpowder.
Today's the day.
I forgot.
I got the gun.
I
got the powder.
I like to think every day. That guy came home from work and he's like, shit, I know I forgot something. Oh, fuck, I forgot to pick up gunpowder again. What have I got around here?
Yeah.
Glitter glue, maybe.
Yeah, she was the first British monarch to get fucking glitter bombed.
Yeah.
She also was around during the old potato famine where a fucking million Irish people
died? Was that the
yeah, it was.
Yeah, died. Or she called them potato. No, I'm not gonna say this.
Just
potato and a word.
Mad Libs, the second part.
This is gonna drive me mad.
So yeah, she gave them 2,000 pounds of money instead of food. I bet they were like, "Why didn't you just give us 2,000 pounds of food?" But no, 2,000 pounds of money.
I
But
assume
it was
you mean,
rumored
like, the currency type and not like the weight measurement.
It was rumored among the potato that that
We
she,
all know what I mean.
Oh my-
that she only donated
I-
five pounds, and she also donated 5 pounds to like an animal shelter too,
Yeah.
because the Irish are the same as dogs.
I feel like there's like a great novel about the Irish called Rumored Among the Potato. It was
Yeah,
written in like 1972.
the potato. Yeah.
But of course, that was she did donate more than that $5.
Yeah, she was actually generous. It's
Yeah.
sad, but I mean, she still let 1 million of her neighbors starve to death. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, part of what made the potato famine as bad as it was British officers taking what food there was for themselves, which she arguably had some control over.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just an old potato blank. I'm just airing old grudges.
Yeah, I can say that I'm Irish too.
Okay.
But
We're all a bunch of potato blanks on this podcast.
I don't know what the blank is that you guys are talking about.
The unspoken thing at the end of the word potato.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be the second user poll at the end of this one. What's the blank in potato blank?
So, yeah, and then her husband died, and man, did she love that cousin Dick. Love was real back then, man. Love was real because she wore black for the rest of her life. Mm-hmm. She wore black.
And of course, her black t-shirt that said I Heart CD.
Every day, which might have also just been because at the point, she was getting pretty large. So maybe she was just like, I'm just going to stick with the black because it's slimming. And everybody will think that I'm like really hardcore.
Not a lot of people know this,
About
but
my
originally Hot Topic was called Victorian Topic.
Yeah.
I'm also just picturing also that antique pervert having a different set of her underwear from like pre-husband death and post-husband death.
Oh, yeah. He probably wears all of them.
He wears that. That is poor antique keeping.
Oh, whatever. Sometimes you got to put it on.
I just imagine now, because I made that Hot Topic association in my head, all of her shirts just had like Heath Ledger as the Joker on them.
So, yeah, and when she got all depressed and everything, she kind of like retired from the public eye, and basically the parliament at that point was kind of the political power kind of changed in the country when she withdrew from society to what the British feel was like a very bad thing now in the future when they look at it. It's called republicanism. And
Yes, the classic meaning of republicanism, just to clarify.
yeah, no, it's different. I don't know. She got into a lot of arguments with people because they still wanted slaves. It doesn't seem like she was down with slaves. So
Yeah.
that was one cool thing about her. But yeah, so then they went into republicanism, and then I think she came out and somebody tried to kill her, and then she was cool again. Yeah, I don't know. There anything that I'm leaving out?
No, I mean, there's just like, she's also just known also.
I mean, it was only like 80 years, right? I didn't miss anything, did I?
No, there's also just like the era she presided over is almost like more famous than anything she did. Just like the idea of like this era of increased moral policing, I guess is the word I want to use, and just like the idea of propriety and sort of Victorian repression of those of people's urges, I guess.
Oh, like to fuck and shit?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why it was famous. She didn't want anyone smashing after her husband
I'll get
died.
into that.
Since I don't know that we specifically said it, this was like the 1800s up through like the early 1900s, kind of,
Yeah.
that era.
She died like in 1902?
Yeah.
1901.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Zach, thank you.
Yeah.
And like what we were talking about with the sort of era she presided over and the way she influenced society is more what I sort of went with. Because prior to Victoria, Great Britain was known as like Bone Island. There was just a lot of fucking going on. And
It's known as Bone Island?
yeah,
That's what they called it?
yeah, because of all the fucking.
Really? Who called it that?
Is
the
that
French.
from an earlier episode?
I don't
I
think
feel like
so.
it might be.
Oh well,
I think we had like a sex romp in England for a while. I don't remember.
I've
don't
I've
remember
been
all
there.
this
There's
shit.
a lot of promiscuity going on around. There's a lot of.
well, yeah. There you go.
They're back to fucking over there.
They swore it off
fish
for a
and
couple
chips
generations.
and clits and dicks.
Like right before you said that, your eyes sort of darted around to be like, "Is this okay?" And
No, that was my brain. That was my lizard brain going, you got to say something here. I don't have any fear. What can I say on the,
what man could stop me?
you know? I already said potato.
Can we just edit like bleeps in after he says potato every time?
No, you can't edit bleeps in after I say potato.
Well, okay then. I guess the matter is settled. So she's born into a
I didn't sign shit, all right? You add bleeps in, I'm fucking gonna get this shit taken down. Cease and
Take
desist,
it
you.
off the air.
Revise the cease and desist, you motherfuckers. No. I'm kidding.
Okay. She's born into a royal bloodline, and so she, as a child, she gets a lot of what she wants, like anything she asks for. But one day she goes to her parents because she's going to ask them for a fidget spinner, which is what they call epileptics in the 1800s. And she's like 4 or 5. And she walks in on her parents talking about sex, and it just scars her for the rest of her life.
Was it graphic? Were they reading like their Harry Potter like erotic fanfic that like went way too far? It's like a Snape Foy thing.
They were reciting the lyrics to the song "Let's Talk About Sex."
He was drinking
okay.
tea out of her pussy.
Okay. That's not talking about. That's actually a sex act. Maybe that's.
It's called a reverse teabag.
Fair enough.
It's called, yeah.
And that inspired a lifelong passion for decorum in Queen Victoria. The rest of England, not so much at this point. And she becomes queen after King Edward VII died butt chugging. So she becomes queen.
Oh, there's a lot of drinking stuff out of orifices in this
Yeah,
story.
I guess that's what gave me the idea.
What is that like an old form of torture?
Actually, I'm almost sure it was.
Yeah, is that like one of those things where they seal the rats up there?
Yeah, tell me about the rat butt stuff they used to do.
And then dump water into the butt, and when the rat thinks it's drowning, it tries to swim out the other side.
You know, it's almost sad that we name these episodes after the historical figure instead of a quote from the episode, because I feel like we got some good ones to choose from.
Oh, I'm very quotable. That's what it said in high school in my yearbook.
Yep.
It said, "Man, this guy can quote."
Yeah, he won most quote. You won most quotable.
Yeah, I didn't graduate
under
from
your
high school,
high
but I wrote that in there.
Every other person in your class quoted you for their class quote.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
You just go around to like high schools now and put your picture with your quote in every student's yearbook.
I go around to high schools a lot now, but that's not why.
So not long after she becomes queen, she marries Prince Albert. They have their kids, but she sees like the debauched state of her realm, and of course she's informed by like her experiences, and so she pushes Parliament to outlaw fucking in 1842, and they went along because they were nerds.
What about butt fucking?
They not only outlawed fucking, butt fucking, they outlawed any discussion of sex or genitalia, including like the rich log of British slang.
What did all the whores do?
They became accountants.
Yep, fair enough. I did look up some British slang for genitals for background research. Some of my favorites include fanny, dork, growler, and meat and two veg also.
Yeah.
I think that last one's just from Austin Powers, Brian.
Oh, it was on the internet.
I like that.
The internet.
So no, she banned being randy.
Mm-hmm.
A randy ban.
Or the expression of randiness, I guess.
A randy ban.
Because fucking had to go underground after that, which is how the tube was invented. And
which tube?
The subway.
The fallopian tube.
The fallopian. Yeah. Before that, birthing was way weirder.
Is there worms in there?
It was a real Cronenberg type experience.
Yeah. No, that's what they did with the rat. They would send the rats in and have the rats like coax the baby out.
Was there tube worms?
To be fair, I feel like birth is still a little bit of a Cronenberg experience.
Oh God. But people were forced after the ban on fucking to turn their attentions and their energies elsewhere to like more practical matters. Prince Albert, her husband, did get his dick pierced, but they used it as the first compass. That's what they used that for.
What is a Prince Albert?
Prince Albert is her husband, also a popular name for dick piercing.
Yeah, but what kind of how does the piercing go through the dick?
I was about to Google it because I don't know. I think
I feel like it must be dealer's choice.
I
right?
actually.
Wait, is the dealer the piercer or the piercee in that situation?
Well, I think up until about 1984, it was the piercer, and now we've woken up a little bit, and we've given the piercee the choice.
So I have a pal that has one. I won't use his real name.
I was going to say names.
We'll just call him Nick Dean, and but he has a Prince Albert, and what it is it goes in the bottom of the dickhead and then runs out the hole.
Ah, that's far more upsetting.
So he has to sit down to pee. Nick Dean, that's not his real name, has to sit down.
It's actually Jacob Rupp.
Yeah, him too. They have to sit down to pee. Because he said it's like when you put your hand in front of a hose.
Well, for more about dick piercings, buy Zac Maas's new book.
It's a high school yearbook. He wrote a bunch of stuff about dick piercing.
I just find it fascinating, all right? And I didn't know that this was the history of it, so I'm just trying to bridge the gap for the people at home, Zach. All right? All right, Zach?
Yeah, okay. History is still alive in the form of dick piercing.
History runs through our dicks.
Yeah, making the urine just spray everywhere, because that's what has to happen. Like a fucking sprinkler when you put your finger in it.
Hand in front of a hose, Zap.
Dear God. So she also, when the people's energies were more focused, she presided over the expansion of the empire. They took over India to stop the flow of exotic spices.
You can't say flow that shortly after.
It's the most apropos word other than stream, which is equally problematic. And of course, the potato famine happened, where she did donate, contrary to myth, 2,000 pounds and some old Quidditch jerseys to the relief effort. But then Prince Albert got stuck in a can and suffocated.
Oh no!
Yep.
I was hoping that you wouldn't, but you did.
Yeah, I did.
In a can of what? Tubes?
Yeah, it was a can of tubes. Really, just excessive packaging is what this era is known for. After this tragedy, a mysterious stranger shows up, calling himself Vince Coban, and his goal is to convince Victoria of the value of fucking and that it can be a good thing. But she wins him over to her side of thinking, and he becomes her butler for like 20 years until he dies. And then after he dies, another mysterious stranger, Ben K. Viacon, with the same mission, appears, and the same outcome happens. But before he died, there were rumors of an affair between Viacon and Queen Victoria. After he was accused, he claimed to be a spirit of sexual freedom given human form.
Well, yeah, and that baby was just a tumor, right?
Yeah. That's people were very dumb back then. That's what they believed babies were.
They thought that the handmaid was pregnant or whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Yeah, and then.
Oh, I forgot about that episode. Yeah. Yeah, there was one of her attending ladies. They thought she was pregnant by people who were political enemies of this one person. This servant girl was pregnant by him and basically ran him out of power. And then later she died, and it was revealed she just had a tumor. Yeah,
they had to look at inside of her vagina because she said she wasn't pregnant, and they didn't believe her. So they looked inside and realized she was a virgin, and then it was just a tumor.
Who are we talking about right now?
This woman whose name I'm sorry I do not recall, who was one of the attendants to Queen Victoria.
Her name was Dawn Fredericks.
Oh, Dawn Fredericks.
I mean, this is the fake story.
Mm-hmm. It can be whatever. That maidservant's name was Nick Dean.
Yeah, Prince Albert.
But at this point, Victoria's getting older, and she sees the aging population of Great Britain as a result of her ban on fucking, and she kind of loosens up a little bit. She declares her Golden Jubilee, which is her 50th anniversary on the throne. She declares that a Great British Fuckfest. And then her Diamond Jubilee, which is her 60th year, they do it all again.
Is that like the precursor to the Great British Bake Off?
Exactly. Which it's great because it generates enough population to die in World War I.
Yeah, that shit sounded crazy. Everybody was drinking tea out of pussies that day.
Which is how they thought you had sex back then. So she lived to be 11 years old. The spirit of sexual freedom embodied by Ben K. Viacon, we know today as Kevin Bacon, of course.
I hate to be a bit of a stickler here, but I'm pretty sure 11
is a hobbit age.
It's not an actual number.
Well, the listeners will be the judge of that. So before we get into judgment, just want to plug a couple things. We mentioned last week's results was the outcome of listener voting, and you can be a part of that by joining us on our Patreon page. Links to that are on our website. Thank you to the people who have done that so far. And you can also follow us on all the social media things. And our website is revisionistpodcast.com. Probably should have said that earlier.
Revisionistpodcast.com. Fucking go there.
Zac Maas, you host a brand new showcase at the brand new Alamo Draft House in Denver.
Correct.
Next one's coming up July 19th, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a fucking amazing show, Brian.
Yeah.
Stellar.
The first one sold out, so that's...
The first one sold out. The second one, we've got John Novosad, a.k.a. Hippie Man, headlining, Stephen AJ, and Rachel Weeks. So it's very stacked lineup, and it's a free show. So come down. Also check out Whiskey and Cigarettes podcast, and you can follow me or find out about any of those things at Moss Comedy or at ZachMaas.com. That's Moss, M-A-A-S, and Zach, Z-A-C, Moss Comedy, M-A-A-S, comedy.
Both spelled the way you don't think they're supposed to be spelled.
Spell it out. Take it or leave it. Go there. Follow me. Become my new best friend. I need more friends. that I never see.
And then old Zap, you were just a guest on another podcast, correct?
Yeah, I was a guest on the long-running Alcohollywood podcast where they watch a film and create a matching cocktail and invent a drinking game for said film, discussing the classic film How High, in which Method Man and Redman go to Harvard and make fun of various races of people.
I forgot that's what that movie was about.
Yeah.
As
How high are your standards?
yeah, that's the hidden meaning of the title of a movie with Method Man and Redman. As for me, the next episode of Nighttime Tonight is happening July 20th at the Deer Pile in Denver, and I have a short fiction piece in Cherry Magazine, which is circulating around Denver right now. But if you can't find it, or if you live outside the Denver area, you can find them online on their Patreon page or at rottengirlpress.com.
What the fuck is Cherry Magazine?
It's a magazine of it's a quarterly fiction magazine.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. I actually have a copy sitting right there. But Zach, you get the first
nice.
vote.
So Queen Victoria herself led a pretty standard life except for the assassinations, and so you'd think that would be a key to lean me towards the alternate. But then Brian made that Prince Albert in a can joke, and now I'm not going to vote for it. I vote for the real history.
Fair enough. Well, Zac Maas, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Brian. It's been a pleasure. Zach, it's been so nice to hear your voice. You have such a good podcast voice, Zach.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
If only it were a video format so you could look into my deep hazel eyes.
I think you kind of are ugly, but I really like the sound of your voice.
Zach is, I will say, probably the handsomest person I know.
Well, this is news to me.
Well, I know that I am. So.
Oh no, the double Zachs.
So, thank you. I didn't know that you felt that way about me, but I appreciate it.
Zap, thank you as always.
Of course.
For everyone here at the Revisionists, I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zap Powers.
And I'm Zac Maas.
Have a good time.
Have a good time. What a closer.
Yep.
Yeah, have a good time. Come
on. Come drink tea. Wear tea.
Come drink tea out of this pussy.
Your time will be good.